And what's this? A divorce paper on the table. My husband Hank is supposed to be starting his new job posting today. I quickly call him. He answers, chuckling as if amused by my panicked voice. Our daughter and my parents all wanted a divorce. We all have our share of built-up frustrations, right? I hear my daughter Lisa's laughter in the background. It turns out that my in-laws and Lisa left the house with Hank. They're apparently enjoying a family trip at a traditional inn. It seems I'm no longer considered family. This day has finally come. I've also considered divorce for a while. I filed the divorce papers. Then I head straight to a real estate agency. 6 months later, I get a call from the family. They selfishly want to move back into the house. My name is Kate, 43 years old. I live on the second floor of a 2-family house. I married my husband Hank 15 years ago. For appearances, we're supposed to be a happy couple in front of my in-laws, but lately we've been fighting more to the point where a divorce is a real possibility. We have a daughter, Lisa, who's in her rebellious phase and rarely talks to us. Our relationship with Lisa deteriorated about 3 years ago, right after she started high school. I hate this. I'm quitting high school. I'll just get a part-time job and live on my own. She came home with her eyes all puffed up. I was surprised by her sudden outburst, but I decided to be firm, thinking I shouldn't spoil her. She had a history of making a fuss over trivial school issues. What happened? You just started high school. Why quit now? When will you ever push yourself if not now? Shut up, you wouldn't understand, she yelled and then continued to cry. That day, Hank and I were discussing our mortgage, which led to an argument. I really didn't have time to deal with Lisa. My parents were also in debt and we were struggling. We were having a serious discussion about repaying them. We couldn't afford to lose our house. My in-laws were living on their pensions, so they couldn't help us financially. Hank's solution was to borrow more money from his parents. Hank smiled, finding an excuse to escape the conversation. He seized the opportunity to talk to Lisa. If you have a problem, talk to me. I'll do anything I can to help. He usually never participated in raising Lisa. I sighed in exasperation. Well, actually, a classmate is being mean to me. It seemed Lisa had a falling out with a classmate. I decided to let Hank handle Lisa while I continued our discussion. Hey, Lisa, your dad and I need to talk. Now, let's hear what Lisa has to say. Lisa kept crying and complaining, so I decided to call the school. It turned out that Lisa had been harassing a classmate. It was different from what I'd heard. I ended up having to apologize to the other party, but Lisa refused to admit she was wrong, even when cornered. She had found out that her crush was dating the classmate and started making trouble for her. Her crush found out and rejected her. Lisa, causing all the trouble, quickly left school to avoid facing the consequences. Apparently, the classmate's parents were in the office. It was entirely Lisa's fault. I sighed and scolded her. Lisa, that's not what you told me. Apologize to your classmate. I put the phone on speaker and held it towards Lisa, but she didn't apologize and acted like the victim, making excuses. I had a headache, wondering who she got this from. But I liked him first. She just stole him from me to spite me. Lisa's yelling startled my in-laws, who peeked out from their room. Lisa kept making excuses, her face red. Then the classmate spoke up. She insulted me in front of everyone. Why can't she just apologize? She says I stole him, but I didn't even know about her. She spread nasty rumors about me online too. I've had a terrible time because of her. I was horrified to hear that Lisa has such terrible things to her classmate. Spreading rumors online could even lead to expulsion. My in-laws and Hank were pale. We couldn't just apologize over the phone. We decided to visit the classmate's home the next day to apologize in person. What have you done? Even Hank sighed, but the classmate was forgiving. Please be careful with your daughter. If she apologizes at school tomorrow, I'll forgive her. The next day, Lisa reluctantly went to school. I went to the classmate's house with a gift to apologize. My mother-in-law Amy came along, and she was surprised by how grand their house was. A refined woman came out when we rang the bell. She introduced herself as the classmate's grandmother and graciously accepted our apology. My granddaughter can be stubborn, too. It's common for young people to fight over crushes. I hope they can become good friends. With the apology over, I felt a huge sense of relief. Amy seemed to feel the same as she started chatting normally. But then she said something unbelievable. It was good that she forgave Lisa, but what a nasty woman. They might be rich, but that granddaughter who fought with Lisa is probably awful too. She looked down on us. I didn't like her at all. I couldn't believe she'd say that about someone who had accepted our apology, but I kept quiet, not wanting to escalate things further. Amy was probably stressed and irritable, but when Lisa came home, she started yelling again. That girl is so annoying, Amy chimed in. I knew it. Her grandmother was awful too. So stuck up. I knew I wouldn't like her from the vibe. And your crushes have no taste. The two of them kept bad-mouthing the classmate and her grandmother. I wondered how they could judge someone so harshly after just an hour. I was amazed at how easily they came up with insults based on nothing. It would have been fine if it ended there, but Lisa kept getting into trouble with that classmate. The teacher advised us to stay out of it, as it was between the students, but it was clear that Lisa was antagonizing the classmate, who wasn't even paying attention to her. Lisa still hadn't given up on her crush, claiming he was her boyfriend. Enough is enough. He's clearly not interested. Give it up and find someone else. What's the point of fighting over the same guy? After that, Lisa started ignoring me. I seemed to have hit a nerve, as she usually argued back no matter what. The silent treatment was affecting my daily life, so I decided to apologize. I might have been meddling too much. I knocked before entering Lisa's room. She still looked displeased. I'm sorry, Lisa. I didn't mean to upset you, but I'm saying this for your own good. It's better to avoid unnecessary conflict. I thought I was being considerate, but it backfired. That's exactly it. That's just like her. You think I'm always wrong, don't you? Whose side are you on? I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to live with Grandma and Grandpa. I was surprised by her declaration, but what would that accomplish? However, the reason soon became clear. Amy had sided with Lisa and started attacking me. She had always disliked my personality, it seemed. She spoiled Lisa rotten. When I told Hank, he suggested living on the first floor for a while. She's just going through a rebellious phase. I'll support her too. You can stay on the second floor. I haven't been involved enough in her upbringing. It was obvious he was using Lisa to avoid the debt issue, but I thought time would heal things and Lisa would eventually clash with her grandmother and want to live with me again. However, I'm still living alone on the second floor. I tried to talk to Lisa, but she completely ignored me. Amy smirked, seeing me ignored. She seemed to enjoy our conflict. I avoided Amy when Lisa was home, but when Lisa was out, Amy would talk to me cheerfully. Lisa's just going through puberty. It's best to leave her alone. That's why we're living together. Just let her be for now. Meanwhile, Lisa continued to get into trouble with her classmate, and Amy often had to deal with it. When I tried to intervene, it only made Lisa angry and caused trouble for Amy, but I kept scolding Lisa, though she never listened. My in-laws and Hank sided with Lisa to keep her happy. She was out of control at school, too. Amy went to the school a few times, but the teacher said it was unproductive. I had to apologize every time the teacher told me what was going on. But Amy insisted that apologizing wasn't necessary and never scolded Lisa. When I heard that Lisa had intentionally destroyed her classmates' belongings, I lost my temper and yelled at her. Why are you so mean? Amy just laughed and interfered. Promise me you won't go near that classmate again. Do you understand? I was furious at Lisa, who just stood there head down. If you can't listen to me, then get out of this house. Lisa started crying loudly. Amy took Lisa's side. From that day on, our family dynamic worsened, leading to a complete separation. Of course, I talked to my in-laws and Hank when Lisa wasn't around, but the last time we spoke was a year and a half ago to separate our finances. We were practically divorced, and it had been going on for 2 years. Lisa was a bully, and she enjoyed seeing me ostracized. She was just like Amy in that way. At least I realized that. She still seemed to be fighting with her classmate. She even used social media to bully her. The teacher sent me Lisa's social media handle, asking me to monitor her account. I was shocked by what I saw on her social media. She detailed how her own mother was ignoring her at home. Her classmates found it amusing. Please be careful. I'm sorry your daughter keeps causing trouble. I'm always here if you need to talk. 2 days later, it was Lisa's 18th birthday. I figured they'd celebrate without me again, but I heard they had dinner at a nearby restaurant. I learned about Lisa's life through social media. It was a very unhealthy parent-child relationship. Lisa was 18 now, and I thought maybe it was time for my husband and me to end our relationship. But I couldn't find an answer easily. Then, Amy asked for my advice. Lisa apparently wanted to live alone and asked her grandmother for rent and living expenses. Of course, Amy couldn't afford it and refused, but Lisa got angry and yelled at her. It seems Lisa's classmate is going to live alone with her boyfriend after college, so they had a fight. She's so competitive with that classmate. She seems to be studying hard now, so I want to support her. But we still have our mortgage and we haven't paid back your parents' loan. We can't afford to let her live alone right after high school. After hearing this from Amy, Lisa became even more hostile towards me. She was doing such terrible things just because her selfish wishes weren't granted. I was sure she was doing worse things at school than what I knew. This couldn't go on. I decided to fulfill my responsibility as Lisa's mother and talk to her while she was on the phone with someone in her room. Lisa, I heard about the living alone thing from your grandma. Can we talk? Don't ignore me. Lisa paused her studying and turned to me. Her eyes were narrowed, and her displeasure was evident. I hesitated to speak. Living alone is out of the question, but we'll support your college and living expenses. Focus on your studies, okay? By the way, I heard you borrowed money from your parents. Is it because of our house loan? Yes, we borrowed a bit to help with a mortgage. Then you should move out. The reason I want to live alone is because of you. I was startled by her sudden demand, and it seemed Lisa had a big misunderstanding. I heard your parents are in debt to us. There's no way we're poor. It's because of your family's debt that you can't fund my living alone, isn't it? I was dumbfounded by her accusation. I quickly denied it, but she wouldn't listen. If you're in debt, then get out of the house. Divorce Dad and live as strangers. I don't remember what I said after that. I just scolded her harshly. Hank and Amy intervened, and the situation was diffused. We decided that Lisa and I wouldn't see each other, taking my father-in-law, Brian's usually passive advice. Time will heal things, but since your mother and daughter make up eventually. Even Lisa seemed subdued after that day, and even her teacher mentioned it. Then one day, Hank came up to the second floor, which was unusual. What's wrong? I've decided to accept a job transfer. I've already told my parents and Lisa, and they're all on board. He had discussed this important career move with his family first, not me. Why am I the last to know? He ignored my question and continued. I thought it would be a good opportunity to pay back your parents. Will your salary increase that much with this transfer? Yeah, Mom was okay with it. I figured it was fine to tell you after the fact. A week later, Hank started packing. His room was nearly empty. It seemed like an excessive amount to take to a temporary job posting. I couldn't help but ask, why is your room completely empty? You don't even know when you'll be back. Oh, I took the chance to get rid of unnecessary stuff. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. Well, it might be a good opportunity. On the day of his departure, my in-laws and Lisa had already left. I might be too tired to contact you today, so don't worry if you don't hear from me. Okay, be safe. I saw him off and checked my schedule. My in-laws had mentioned they were going on an overnight trip. I'd be alone with Lisa today. It was a good chance to reconcile. It's hard to change the environment once you start eating separately. I remembered when we used to have enjoyable dinners with Hank, my in-laws, and Lisa. It made me emotional. How easily things can change over small incidents. I decided to make Lisa's favorite dishes and wait for her. She was already 18, soon to be a college student. Time flies. It was past 7 p.m. Lisa was usually home by now. I got worried and grabbed my phone. I tried calling her several times, but no answer. I heard that young people these days ignore calls and prioritize social media. Worried, I checked Lisa's social media. I saw an unbelievable photo. What is this? It was a selfie of Lisa, but Hank and my in-laws were in the background. It looked like they were at a traditional inn. The caption was, last bit of filial piety as a high school student. So in Lisa's mind, I was no longer her parent. Hank, my in-laws, and Lisa were enjoying a family trip without me. I was so shocked that I dropped my phone. We had our share of troubles, but I didn't deserve this. I tried calling Lisa many times, but she didn't answer. I looked it up online, and it seemed like she had blocked me. I decided to calm down and think. I remembered I should contact Hank, but then recalled our conversation from that morning. They had all ganged up on me to exclude me from the family. Then I noticed something on the bedroom table. It was a divorce paper, already filled out and signed by Hank. I had been in the kitchen all day, so I hadn't noticed it. I frantically called Hank. Unlike Lisa, he answered immediately. What's going on? Why didn't you tell me anything? Oh, you finally noticed. I want to take it easy. Besides, we're already distant. You're old enough not to be surprised by this. He was chuckling as if amused by my panicked state. I thought about it after Lisa becomes independent too, but she's still in high school. We could have waited until she graduated. Lisa doesn't seem to mind. She kept bugging me about when we're getting divorced, so we're just enjoying a relaxing trip at the inn. Hank called out to Lisa, who seemed to be nearby. Hey, Lisa, your mom seems to have snooped on your social media again. Your mom. Those words confirmed that he saw me as a stranger now. Lisa sounded annoyed. Ugh, Mom called. Why does she keep looking at my stuff? I'm seriously going to block her. So annoying. Hank kept the call on speaker, letting me hear the sounds around them. You annoyed Lisa again. We're just about to have dinner. I could hear clattering, like things being carried. Despite being in public, Lisa continued her tirade. Do you know how much I've put up with because of you? How much embarrassment you've caused me? You came to school so many times, it was mortifying. That's because you kept causing trouble. I raised my voice at Lisa, my frustration growing. Hey, we're on a nice trip. Don't get mad at a mother like her. It seemed my in-laws weren't around, but Hank added fuel to the fire. As for the divorce, my parents have already agreed. We've already moved out, too. You just need to file the papers. I was devastated. Our marriage was definitely over, and Lisa's rebellious phase was lasting too long. but I still considered them my family. Was it really that easy for a long marriage to crumble like this? I remained silent for a while and Hank sighed. Only I seemed to be upset by this sudden turn of events. It made me angry. I had also been thinking about divorce, keeping it in the back of my mind. What about custody and property division? You're listed as Lisa's custodial parent, but don't do things without discussing it with me. Hank chuckled with a hint of sarcasm. Lisa's been saying she'll come with me for 3 years now. We've talked about life after divorce since then. She wants to live alone, so she's practically independent. Don't worry. I remembered Hank tidying up his room. I also heard noises from another room during his preparations for the temporary transfer. While you were living comfortably alone on the second floor, Lisa was acting out. Are you really a mother? Why couldn't you support your own daughter? Lisa never took to me, but now she's always by my side. I went downstairs and opened the door to my in-laws' room while still on the call with Hank. It was completely empty. They must have packed up together at that time. I felt a chill and headed to Lisa's room. Her room was also empty. What's going on? Lisa and my in-laws moved out too? Lisa laughed, sounding satisfied. Ah, you finally noticed. You didn't even realize, even though you are her mother. Maybe you never really cared about me. Normally you'd notice right away if your daughter moved out, wouldn't you? She had a point. I was oblivious, making Lisa's favorite dishes and waiting for her, thinking of ways to mend our relationship. How pathetic of me. I felt a sudden wave of exhaustion and sat down on the floor. All right, Kate, I'm hanging up. We're enjoying some family time. I'll send the papers through a lawyer when things settle down. I'll take Lisa, so the paperwork should be easy. Just like that, he hung up. I decided to wait to file the divorce papers until after I'd seen the lawyer's documents. But the next day, Amy called. She sounded completely unapologetic. Hey, Kate, Hank told you, right? We've moved into an apartment. Lisa too, of course. I see. You should have told me earlier. I would have helped you pack. It was the most sarcasm I could muster, but Amy seemed to be in a good mood. So as a final check, please file the divorce papers today. Hank said he'd have a lawyer draft the documents, but that's a hassle. Plus, the house is in your name, so consider it your alimony. It must have been Hank's idea, as he was worried about the mortgage. We had discussed it many times, but it never went anywhere. He probably planned to divorce me all along and leave me with everything. Amy had been discussing the divorce with Hank for a long time and had planned it all with him. Well, we were already thinking about it for about 3 years. Not sure when you'd actually get a divorce, though. But I know you guys were having financial troubles. I had no energy to argue back. Even though I knew that my elementary school-aged child couldn't pay back the loan, it was a shame. My in-laws didn't offer to help, even though they knew. Honestly, I was glad to be getting a divorce. But I wanted to discuss Lisa's custody. About Lisa, what will happen with custody? We haven't discussed it. I'd like to talk to Hank. Amy made a declaration. Lisa's already 18. She says she wanted to live alone. It's a good age for her to become independent from you. So please file those divorce papers. She hung up abruptly. Lisa was 18, but still a high school student. Such irresponsibility was unacceptable. The next day, Amy called again to check if I had filed the papers. Hello, did you file them already? Not yet. I haven't received the lawyer's documents, and I want to discuss Lisa's custody with Hank first. I can't accept it otherwise. I'll try to talk to him. That's such a hassle. Just file the papers already. It was a ridiculous demand. Then Lisa started talking on Amy's phone. Just leave it. I don't care about Mom anymore. Also, Dad bought an apartment. He said he'll live alone in a small apartment at his new job location, though. I had never heard that before. Hank couldn't possibly have that kind of money. Lisa hung up. A few minutes later, Hank called. He said he was going to send the documents through a lawyer, but then changed his mind, saying it was too much trouble and that he'd leave everything to me. Sorry, it's just too much of a hassle. Most of the house stuff is in your name, right? You can have it all. Just file the divorce papers right away. I recorded that statement. I was the only one trying to follow proper procedures. I went to the courthouse and filed the divorce papers. The divorce was quickly finalized and I lost my family. A sense of accomplishment for finally being free, a sense of emptiness loss, maybe relief. I went straight to a real estate agency. I didn't need such a big house anymore. I told the receptionist I wanted to sell my house. They immediately sat me down. I must have looked happy as they thought I was building a new house. They handed me brochures for new homes. Actually, I got divorced and my family moved out. I want to sell my 2-family house. It's about 13 years old. If it doesn't sell quickly, I'd like to have it demolished. Is that possible? The agent looked surprised. The words to sell my house flowed out of me as if I had been planning it for a long time. But I signed the contract right there. Since I had already signed the divorce papers, I thought, why not sell something much bigger? The house was in my name, but there wouldn't be an issue even if they claimed it was jointly owned property. Hank had expressed his intention to give up the property. That was enough proof. If it came to a lawsuit later, I'd deal with it then. I'd hire a good lawyer and fight with all I had. The house would be demolished if it didn't sell within 3 months. It was a clean break from a house full of bitter memories. I started looking for a new place to live at the real estate agency. A one-room apartment. I thought that would be enough for a single woman, but a brochure for a new condominium caught my eye. I imagined my in-laws and Lisa living in a place like this. My resolve weakened. I ended up signing a contract for a condo unit right then and there. I could pay off the house loan with my savings in one go if needed. I even considered buying the condo outright. That's how much I had been saving to spend on my family. I had wanted to use it for family trips and Lisa's education, but I had no family now. 6 months later, I received a sudden call from Amy. We had filed the divorce papers first, but the legal procedures were completely through a lawyer. There shouldn't have been any issues. I wondered why she was calling, as the discussion about the divorce papers was already over. I instinctively wanted to reject Amy, but I couldn't just ignore it forever. I reluctantly pressed the call button. Amy's frantic voice boomed through the phone. "You finally picked up, Kate." "Hello, it's been a while. It's good to hear you're doing well." I greeted her politely, though we were now strangers. "I actually have a favor to ask. You probably want to see Lisa, right? That's why I'm calling." "A favor? What is it? Is something wrong with Lisa?" Amy called out to Hank. He seemed reluctant to talk to me. "Come on, Hank, apologize. If you had treated Kate better, you wouldn't be divorced now." It seemed she regretted the divorce and was forcing Hank to apologize. I had no business with these people who had secretly run away from me like I was nothing. "I'm sorry. I don't understand what's going on." "We can be a family again, you know." Amy's voice was unusually meek. It must have been a serious situation, but I had no connection to them anymore. I heard Hank's pathetic voice through the speaker. "I don't want to. This is so humiliating." "This is no time for that. We'll be homeless. I can't tell anyone you got laid off after screwing up at your new job." What happened in just 6 months since his transfer? I felt pathetic too. "And I don't want to get back together with Kate. We were completely over before Lisa's rebellious phase even started." I could hear Amy's heavy sigh. She was right. "Mom, you handle it. I'll look for a new job. You guys figure out your own living situation." After listening to their conversation for about 10 minutes, I understood what was going on. My ex-in-laws were living on their pensions and had no intention of working. Without Hank's income, they were about to be evicted from their apartment. Amy pleaded with me. "It's embarrassing, but Hank lost his job. Let's be a happy family again until Lisa becomes independent." For the past 3 years, I had been treated like I was invisible. I had no happy memories of us being a family. Amy was under the delusion that she could just order me around. I decided to tell her my current situation. "I'm sorry, but that's impossible." "It's not impossible. Let's just get along like before. I've already arranged for us to move back into the house." If she had made arrangements, the movers would know the current state of the house. She was probably lying again. "Since it's a special situation, please help with a move. Have our rooms become storage or something? I haven't been able to sleep well lately. I'll be busy cleaning up for a while." Amy always talked one-sidedly, never listening to others. I couldn't help with a move anymore. "I'm sorry to interrupt your excitement, but that's impossible. It's fine, you don't need to help with a move. Thanks to you, I'm managing to get by." Amy hung up abruptly, but a few hours later she called again and again. I knew it was coming, but it was still a heavy feeling. I sighed and answered the call. Amy's angry voice boomed through the phone. "What's going on? The house is gone." I was about to explain, but you hung up on me. "What do you mean you're thinking of tearing down the house we all lived in?" "That was a perfectly good house. The movers sent me a picture of an empty lot. We decided through a lawyer after the divorce, didn't we? The house was originally in my name, and it was bought with a down payment from my parents. Hank paid the mortgage with his earnings." "We already discussed that. I never thought Hank would get laid off." Amy's tone changed from a sweet, purring voice to a furious yell. "You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? I think it's morally wrong. Lisa grew up in that house since she was little. She'll be shocked. Take responsibility, Kate." I was stunned by her nonsensical outburst. I understood that she was struggling. "There's no responsibility to take. There's nothing I can do. There's no way." Amy fell silent. "If that's all, I'm hanging up." My ex-in-laws and Hank ended up renting a rundown 40-year-old apartment. I heard that Lisa was living with them, but she had no intention of getting a job. It seemed like no one in my ex-family wanted to work. I was appalled to hear that even Hank was slacking off on his job search. I considered taking Lisa in, thinking about my ex-in-law's hardship, but when I looked at Lisa's social media, I hesitated. She was posting as if she lived alone in a new condo. She stopped posting pictures after moving into the old apartment, but she started writing about Hank losing his job, perhaps for lack of other topics. One post asked for advice on how to move into my condo. She detailed all our conflicts. I was relieved to see the comments on her post. They criticized her for wanting to rely on me after treating me like I wasn't her mother. Lisa seemed to dislike the comments, deleting them regularly. She was still as selfish as ever, ignoring anything inconvenient for her. I couldn't even contact her directly, as she still had me blocked on the phone app. But a few days later, I received a call notification from Lisa. At first, I ignored it, thinking it was Amy again, but the screen showed Lisa's name, which surprised me. However, I had no intention of answering. My feelings towards Lisa were the same as the comments on her social media. I didn't want her to rely on me only when it was convenient for her. A few days later, Lisa's social media posts became more extreme. She started asking for ways to find out where I lived, but I wasn't surprised. It was just like Amy and Lisa, grandmother and granddaughter. Amy had just called, asking about my parents' house. What's going on? Your parents' house is gone, too. I heard it was demolished due to old age, so they moved to a nearby city, huh? I heard they can demolish surprisingly quickly, so you had ours demolished, too. I never liked you, you know. You always do unnecessary things. The house wasn't even that old. Then Amy suddenly changed the subject. It seemed like Lisa was reaching her limit. Lisa's really upset right now. Can you take her in? It's getting unbearable for her to live in such a small space with your ex-in-laws and ex-husband. She had understood when she was living with them how hard it was for me to deal with Lisa. Why is she so selfish? I wanted to throw those words right back at Amy, but I had no intention of taking Lisa in. Actually, I'm living alone in a nearby condo now. I thought Amy would try to push Lisa on me, but she said something unexpected. Oh, that's great. Where is it? We'll drop by after dropping off Lisa. I could use a break, you know. She was just using Lisa as an excuse. I politely refused. Why don't we stop contacting each other for Hank's sake? Oh, we've been living together for over 15 years, though. I silently pressed the end call button and immediately blocked Amy's account. Around that time, Lisa's social media posts became more extreme. They were a far cry from the messages she showed in chats, full of stress and complaints. She wrote that I had blocked Amy. She seemed to have forgotten that I could see her social media. And one day something happened. There were signs that someone had trespassed on my condo's property. I thought it was probably Amy or Lisa. I explained the situation to the condo manager. They showed me the security camera footage. It was undoubtedly Hank. I was surprised, but the manager said they would report it to the police as trespassing. I wondered if I should really report Hank to the police. While I was worrying, the manager gave me some advice. You need to deal with these things quickly, especially since the ex-husband's mother is also persistent. Hank was arrested for trespassing. Even Amy seemed to have learned her lesson as she stopped contacting me after that. Lisa also seemed to have had enough of her family after her father's arrest and left home on her own. She stopped updating her social media with complaints, and I lost track of her after that. With my connection to my ex-family completely severed, I decided to start over. My parents encouraged me to go on blind dates. They were worried about me after the sudden divorce. I understood their concern and wanted to reassure them, but I felt like I wasn't cut out for family life and couldn't be proactive. I was living comfortably alone. I had been earning more than Hank through stocks even before the divorce. I was about to pay off the condo loan next month with those earnings. I told my parents about it, but they still disapproved of me living alone as a woman. They urged me to have children soon. I couldn't find a reason to force myself into social interactions and almost closed myself off. But then spring came into my life unexpectedly. I started dating a man who had a daughter the same age as Lisa. At first, we agreed to just have dinner together regularly as we were both divorcees. But his daughter was getting married, and I was invited to attend as a family member. There, I ran into Lisa by chance. It was a complete coincidence, and we were both startled. Mom? What are you doing here? Lisa, you too? What a coincidence. This is actually my classmate's wedding. I didn't really want to come, but Riley was surprised to see us and approached. Is this woman an acquaintance of yours, Kate? Yes, this is my daughter, Lisa. She's apparently attending her classmate's wedding. Oh, what an amazing coincidence. I kind of figured, though, but Lisa's still so strong-willed, I can't believe she invited her. The wedding ceremony began. Lisa sat quietly in the guest seats. She wasn't looking at the beautiful bride, but at the groom. I remembered what Lisa had done in high school and turned pale. Could it be? That's exactly right. The wedding ended without incident. I was immediately taken outside the venue. Lisa seemed to have realized something too as she confronted me, her face red with anger. Do you know how I've been feeling all this time? Why him, of all people? It's just a coincidence. And yet you're acting like a mother. I've been ignored by my family when they are in trouble, and you found happiness for yourself. And you were remarrying with my classmate's father, no less. You've always been after my boyfriends. As usual, she was misunderstanding the situation. I tried to calm her down, but I couldn't find the words. Then Riley approached us from behind. He looked at Lisa with a bitter expression. You came to Lisa's wedding, huh? I thought you two weren't in touch after she dropped out of high school, but I'm surprised she's Kate's daughter. Riley's words revealed that Lisa had quit high school, but that wasn't the time to dwell on it. Yes, I'm sorry for the trouble she caused back then. If it had been the old Lisa, she would have just gotten angry and left without apologizing. It had been 6 years, but I was impressed by how much she had matured, and it was a scary coincidence that our hometowns were the same. When Lisa was in high school, I had visited her classmate's house with a gift, but I had only met the grandmother, not the father, Riley. That's why I didn't realize he was her classmate's father. I felt so apologetic to the classmate that I almost cried, but even so, they had invited Lisa to the wedding. Their forgiving nature was still the same, it seemed. And you, of all people, are dating my classmate's father. But maybe this is fate. I ended up attending the wedding after all. I just wanted to show you that he's officially my man now. Lisa turned red and stormed off. I wondered if I should continue dating Riley after that, but his daughter encouraged us and called me Mom. Riley's daughter was expecting a baby next year. She asked me to visit the baby not as Riley's partner, but as the grandmother. Tears welled up in my eyes. Riley and his daughter showed me the warmth of a true family. At this age, I finally found a real family. I wanted to cherish this bond from the bottom of my heart.